everybody. It's John here from GP365. Hope everybody's doing well. So thanks again, Carlos, for joining, and thanks to all of you. Today's session is a bit different than our normal sort of sessions for a couple different reasons. First of all, it's only 30 minutes. And we're covering 5 things in 30 minutes. So we've kind of packaged today to be more like a really brief overview of 5 products that are extremely popular in the GP world. Some of these may be familiar and some of them may not. And then if you're interested in kind of like a more in-depth session, you can either just send us a note and we can give you a demo, or just let us know that you'd like us to do maybe another webinar and we'll cover whatever the topic is in a great level of detail. So just before we get started, I'm just curious of kind of the length of webinar that you guys all prefer. It'll help us kind of build out sort of our schedules. So do you like sort of quick, 30 minutes and less, more information, so kind of that 1 hour that we've been typically doing? Or do you like the very detailed, sort of 2 to 3 hour sessions, which generally will cover one topic in a great level of detail? Just to give us a sense of what you guys prefer, and we'll shape our future sessions to whatever that is. Okay, so it's looking like the winner is more information. So the 60 or so. Thanks for everybody voting too, by the way. Lots of. All right, I'm going to close it off. And one more, which is more just a reminder to you guys, which is GP end of life. So this is really just for planning and budgeting and forecasting for next year. So as everybody knows, GP 2015 is end of life, which means it's no longer supported. So if you are on GP 2016, you are still okay, but you're only okay until July 13th of next year. So make sure that you're planning for an upgrade by then, or at least you're putting it in the books. So really just something to keep on your radar. And yeah, again, we have some blogs about kind of what that means and why it's important to stay current, but quite a few of you are with us as a GP365 customer. And a few of you are on 2015, so maybe I'll send you guys that blog if you'd like, just so you know. But let's keep rolling because we have a lot to cover. So Carlos, let's move on. I'm not controlling the slides today, so the secret virtual queue is Carlos, move on. So again, we can't hear you guys. If you have a question, please let us know. Write it in the questions box and we will come to it. I'll keep an eye on it as Carlos goes through the different products for today. A little bit about us, some of you guys work with us, so you already know this, but my quick shameless sales plug is we seamlessly host GP in the Microsoft Cloud. Our platform provides free upgrades for GP. You can scale your user count up and down. It's a modernized experience which works with all of the add-ons that we're going to be showing today, as well as a variety of different integrations. Now, in terms of what we do, GP is all that we do. And if you guys have a partner that you're working with for your functional needs, you can keep that relationship in place and still move to GP365. We actually have a group demo next week, and I think the week after, because we have quite a few people reaching out to us to request a group demo. So feel free to sign up to the demos. They are on our events page. And yeah, stay tuned, but I'm not going to go into too much detail about us. I think we'll move on. And just before I hand it over to Carlos, the plan for today is we're going to kind of set up each topic. So we'll talk a little bit about SmartConnect, then we'll show you a couple things, and we'll kind of move through the topics like that. And if you guys have questions about pricing or anything else, please just let me know. I'll keep an eye sort of on the questions box and sort of interrupt Carlos if possible. Okay, Carlos, it's all yours.
Great. So we're talking about 5 products today, right? 5, I guess generically you could say they're all add-ons to GP, right? And instead of showing you in detail how they work and what to click on in order to do certain processes, today we're really going to talk about what benefit there's going to be to you, right? And so like John was saying earlier, from there, if you say, hey, I do maybe have a need, within my business for something like this, then maybe afterwards let us know, and we can have a little discussion to figure out what exactly your need is and potentially exactly how this product could fit that need, right? So that's generically putting it, because there's so many products out there that it really depends. But that's really the theme today. Even if you have a GP, you've had it for a long time, quite frankly, maybe you're even quite happy. Sometimes there's an irritant somewhere in GP, something that you say, I wish we could make this a little bit better, or I wish this type of functionality existed. And the reality is that often usually does exist, and you just may not necessarily be aware of it or how to use it. But let's start with SmartConnect, right? So SmartConnect is a tool for importing data, right? And there's, in my mind, two different uses for that. There's developing an integration, or there is doing just a manual daily import, or at least a manual recurring import. Okay, so with that in mind, I am going to go into my SmartConnect, and I have just one import in here. Okay, so what I'm going to just quickly show you is this scenario where someone has an AP import, a very simple import. They don't want to type it in because, quite frankly, it's a really big one. There's a lot of different lines of distribution. So they say, you know what, but I can get it into Excel very, very easily. It's just a copy and paste from somewhere else and a little bit of merging or something. So I set up what's called a map in here, and it's pointing to that Excel spreadsheet. So all I have to do as an end user is I have to click on run once I finish getting the Excel spreadsheet ready, right? And then it'll say, are you sure you want to do this? I'll say, yeah, I do want to. And this window pops up, the progress window, and says I've successfully imported, in my case, just one transaction. And when I actually look at it, then it would be there. Okay, so here's the import that I did. It's not that big of a deal right now, but if I click on the distributions button, there are at least a few lines, right? About 6 or 7 or so. But in a really heavy duty situation, there might be 20 lines or 50 lines or 100 lines. And you can see how I have definitely met people who say, oh, once a week or once every day or whatever. I have to sit down, spend an hour on this one invoice. And this type of import really helps them. I've had teams of AP people where each one has their own map, and they just import the really big invoices this way. It's much better than just typing it in. But that's one use case scenario. The other one is simply, well, that's where we have a spreadsheet, and you just need to get find a quick way of getting that information in there. Taking it from a completely different perspective, sometimes we have Dynamics GP, but then we also have some other product, right? And so in that case, we might be developing an import or an integration that happens automatically, right? So maybe, for example, from some Dynamics 365 product, like the sales module over there, or something completely different, often we can grab the data from there and put it right into the correct places for GP, right? So I actually had a scenario just yesterday where someone was saying, well, you know, we're trying to get that information in there. It doesn't really look right. When we get into GP, there's actually error messages. What do we do? Turns out they were just writing directly to the SQL table. So that basically means putting it right into the GP data without any sort of confirmation that it's looking good. So if we run it through SmartConnect, then SmartConnect is smart enough to say, hey, there's certain ways that the data should look. It will go in GP this way, and it forces the data to go in correctly. So aside from just being convenient, it also makes sure that the data comes in correctly. Right, so for example, you can't have a transaction without a vendor that exists, right? So if it's a brand new one, they don't want to accept it. But that's what SmartConnect is. Two pools. One is, oh boy, there's a lot of transactions in there that are just hard to put in. I wish we could just bring it in somehow. We could do an import for that, a manual import, or we have a big program and we just want data to come in into GP automatically all day long, or maybe once a day, and that would be an integration. So two really powerful reasons to consider SmartConnect if you have that type of need. Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, just one more thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, Carlos, if you can throw back that PowerPoint slide. I was just going to mention, hopefully I'm not stealing your thunder here, but something that's pretty common is if you guys have any integrations that are done with Integration Manager, it's a pretty common sort of occurrence to want to swap those over to kind of a more modern integration product, and SmartConnect is definitely the choice for that. To go through the pricing just very quickly before we move on, there's kind of two different ways that you can license the product. You can either buy it outright, which includes the annual enhancement fee, or the AEP, and that is $7,000 plus the annual enhancement fee that you have to pay every year, which comes to $8,400 upfront, and then it'll be whatever, $1,400 a year after that. Or you can pay $250 a month, but that's limited to the, I think, a certain number of connections. So you can only have, I think, up to 2 or 3 integrations with that. But either way, you do have 2 different kind of models there to license it. And of course, the implementation vastly depends on kind of what you're doing with it. But I don't know if there's anything more you want to add to that, Carlos.
Well, one thing that didn't occur to me to mention is that we actually wrote a blog, I think, on the difference between Integration Manager and SmartConnect. And if we didn't, by the way, I guess I just committed myself to writing one. But but one benefit is that SmartConnect is like literally 100 times faster than Integration Manager. If you have 1,000 records in Integration Manager, or 10,000, it could take quite a while. In SmartConnect, it could take 30 seconds. So there's
Awesome.
it's a much more modern program. Okay,
Cool.
so let's talk about Smartlist Builder. I think a lot of clients have this, but they don't necessarily know how easy it can be to use, right? So the idea here is either see, hey, this product might be good for me, or hey, these guys seem to know something about Smartlist Builder that I don't. I didn't realize that was so easy. I wonder what I can do with this. So with that in mind.
And Smartlist Builder, not to be confused with Smartlist. So for those of you that
some
say,
people make that mistake, right?
Yeah, for those of you that say, because I used to make it, I'm in the GP space. So if you're thinking that you have Smartlist, you do, everybody does, but Smartlist Builder is a third-party product, and Carlos will take you through kind of the differences now.
Right. Well, Smartlist, let me just open that one up. Smartlist is basically a list of various lists of data, right? So you can get a list of vendors, of transactions, of customers, and here's one transaction that I have in here, or sorry, one Smartlist. Right? You can do searches, you can change columns, you can save them, you can export to Excel. There's a lot of things you can do in there, right? So having said that, Smartlist Builder is where we design new smart lists, right? So this is where I'm going to go. And in retrospect, I think I'll also maybe have a quick mention of what Excel Report Builder is as well after I'm done with this. But great, I must have updated this without noticing. But so I'll just talk during this time. It looks like it's saying, hey, something has to be updated, which is fine. So with Smartlist Builder, you can all the products that I'm showing you are what I would call no-code or low-code products, meaning you don't have to be a programmer or a developer to design these things. They're meant for people who either don't have time for it or maybe don't know that much programming, right? So having said that, the idea is that you could take a bunch of data that's in GP, combine it, and make a smart list out of it. So essentially, you're designing a brand new smart list that didn't exist. Now, even here, admittedly, people might be saying, wow, there's a lot of things in here. I'm not sure. To be honest, it's not that difficult, but Smartlist Builder has designed some options that you can just download for free very easily. And that's the part that I'm going to show you today. So I'm going to go to Smartlist Builder, and then where is it? Here it is, in the middle, import, right? So you go in here, and there's right over there at the top left an option called import from web, right? So I say, well, I think I want something for purchasing. I wonder what they've got in there. And it looks like they have a trial balance, an age trial balance, a detailed version, and a summary version, as well as you can see a lot of other smart lists out there. And all you have to do is check mark them, click on the bottom right, import, and you've got your smart list. Right, so really, now, by the way, for those of you who want a little bit of detail, after that, make sure you set security to the smart list. So in other words, you may have the smart list, but you may not have access to it. Having said that, you can see that was the easiest that can be the easiest possible process. I might even say, you know what, these all look good. Maybe I'll import all of them, and then I'll figure it out later and see what I like. So you can check mark whatever you want, import it, and you've got brand new smart lists. By the way, if you don't see what you want in here, just let us know, and we'll figure it out with you. We'll see what it would take to actually for you to get these smart lists, how complicated it is, or what sort of data you need to combine in there. But a very, very simple thing. I went to Smartlist earlier today, and I did exactly that. Now, I've designed this myself before, but you know, I may have named this incorrectly. I'm calling it AR trial balance. I put it in the wrong folder. But this Smartlist right over here, once it finishes populating in, will have customer by customer information, right? So we'll say, here's the customer, here's the outstanding balances, how old it is, and so on. I'm sure everyone's had to print off trial balance reports before, but when it's in Smartlist, it can come in through Excel in a much nicer format. Okay, so that might be the very first time that it's importing or it's opening up, so it probably will take a little longer. But the idea is there's lots of things out there that are nice and easy for you to import in. So that is what Smartlist is. Okay.
Cool. And yeah, the pricing is $3,000 upfront with the annual enhancement plan, and implementations, really like all implementations vary, but you know, they sort of start from $2,000, which includes some training on how to get the value out of it. And that is actually another E1 Solutions product. So for those of you who do not know E1 Solutions, they are one of the, or probably the most popular creator of products for GP. We have a close relationship with them, so yeah, they're an awesome bunch.
Yeah, and you know, I forgot about this, but the first product was called SmartConnect. The second one is called Smartlist Builder. The third one is called Smartfill. It seems that using the word smart makes it.
I never noticed that, but yeah, that's true.
And every product that E1 Solutions has starts with the word smart. Now, as having said that, this is actually from a different company called Rockton Software, also an extremely popular, I guess, or well-known developer for Dynamics GP products. So let's see what this one is, though. I don't think this is quite as well known. Okay. Now, the idea here is that, to be honest, if you have just started using GP and you've only got a few customers or a few vendors, you may not find the value in this. But I'm thinking about people who maybe have a lot of customers or a lot of vendors, and maybe they've been using Dynamics GP for a long time. So there's a lot of stuff in there, right? So sometimes, you know, when we're doing AP invoices or AR invoices and so on, or cash receipts, sometimes it takes a long time to find the correct customer, which is really quite the annoyance, right? This is not really what you should be spending your time on. So having said that, you can choose which AR window you want. So maybe it's this one or cash receipting or something else. None of that really matters, to be honest. But let me show you what this can do. That's right. I couldn't remember the name of this. So let's say I know this customer. I kind of know their name. I can't quite recall what it is. Let's pretend anyway. And I certainly don't know their customer ID. I've got thousands of them, and I'm not very consistent in how I've named them. Let's pretend. So all you have to do is type in a keyword. It can be the customer name, which is what people often do. But in this case, I said, oh, I know they're on Redmond Street or Redmond Drive or whatever it is. So I typed it in, and when I tab, it's basically a Google search, sort of, where it says, okay, well, I'm going to find every single instance of Redmond for you, and then you're the one that has to really figure out which customer you're talking about. So in this case, it turns out that Redmond, there's a vendor, or sorry, a customer on Redmond Road, and there's another customer that is on Redmond, the city Redmond, right over here. Okay, so it seems like a simple thing, and some of you might be saying, oh, okay, that's nice. But there's some of you that are also going to be saying, wow, you know what? I have heard a lot of complaints about this from my organization. We sure do spend a lot of time doing that. And this is one way of tackling that problem. Do make it so that GP can search for whichever customer or vendor or item. Item might be a good one because a lot of people there's thousands of items out there, or something else. If you can find if you can reduce the amount of time it takes to find any one of those things, maybe that's all you need to make your AP team much more efficient. If you've got especially a large team, then and they're spending half their time finding customers or vendors, this might be the way of making your organization much more efficient. So, it seems like a simple thing, but a high value for, quite frankly, a relatively simple and cheap product. So that's what that one does. That one is called Smartfill, and that one is coming from Rockton Software.
Cool. Yeah, no, I think you nailed it. Yeah, I don't think there's much more to say. It's a pretty affordable product, and the implementation in the product is priced pretty well. So it's $230 US per, I think, concurrent user. So it'll have to, I think it has to match your GP user count. I could be wrong on that, but either way, it's a fantastic product. And let us know if you'd like to schedule a session with Rockton or us to go over in more detail.
Yeah, sometimes the simple things are the ones that have the biggest impact. I know some people might be thinking about this, but in case anyone is, just so you know, yeah, this is one way of fixing this issue. Maybe going through more as a process, maybe fixing your customer IDs might be another way to go. Sometimes the problem there is that it's a lot of work to fix all your the customer IDs, merging them and doing other things, whereas this is just something that's right out of the box and you can use right away. Having said that, let's go to collections management. Now, this one is a big program, but it has giant benefit. And I think everyone would be able to understand this one, especially around this time where, unfortunately, there's a lot of organizations that are suffering financially from so many things. So I think I'll bet you anything, although I haven't been told this directly, that there's a lot of other organizations that are finding that their AR is starting to get bloated. That a lot of people are getting delayed in their payments, maybe for good reasons, to be honest. But and now these organizations are saying, what are we going to do about this, right? So collections management is really a good way to get right on top of it, to make good contact with your customers, and overall to have a process around this. So let's have some highlights around this.
And just while Carlos is jumping in, we actually, I think, did a 1 hour webinar about collections management. I don't know if we posted the recording. I feel like there was a technical error, but I'll check into that. And yeah, we went into a great level of detail. I might be able to get a recording of another session if you'd like.
Yeah, I think you've actually emailed me a copy.
Okay.
So I don't know if we posted it though, because we had to kind of work with that a little bit. But yeah. Again, it's a really fantastic product. And I actually, so imagine this: I log into GP, right, as admittedly a collector. So you have to be someone who's involved in this side of the business, collecting receivables and so on. But as soon as I log in, I get this window and it says, well, you know what? We just now finished scanning all your customers, and here's what you need to do today. So we're going to, for all your customers, we have a couple of notes for people who we have to call the first time. And maybe there's 88 customers where they're still delayed, and now we have to call them a second time, and even more for where they're 90 days and over, and we're doing that third call. So in my case, admittedly, I just made it all phone calls, but just the idea here is that you either have a process in mind on how you like to collect, right? Or you need, maybe you'd like to discuss with us how you could set up a process like that. So that process could be something like, after 30 days, let's pretend, you call the customer. After 60 days, you email them. After 90 days, you call them again. And maybe there's other things going on. You put that account on a specific status, things like that. So this process will email you, or rather email the customers automatically as soon as I click on process plans. That's one thing it will do. Or if you have customers that don't have email addresses, then we could also be printing letters for them. And meanwhile, it will assign to one or more of your collectors specific things that they have to do. So for example, John, you have, sorry, I forgot there's a John on the call. It's just a name that I automatically use without thinking. But Jimmy, you have to, you have these 5 people to call today. And Jeremy, you have to call these other 10 people. So there's a long process, there's a nicely defined process. You either have something or we could develop something custom for you, or here's another option. Collections management has out of the box processes that you could follow as well. And you could maybe make mild modifications to. So that's more or less what it helps you with. And from there, that one, like I said, is a big program. You use as much of it as you want. One really useful window is right over here. This is called the collections main window, right? So some people that users of this product swear by this one little window. This window shows you all the customers, what their outstanding balances, oh, sorry, a specific customer one at a time, and then the outstanding balances. It shows you their history, like, oh, we made a call to them, and a second call on this other day, and so on. And so it essentially is
3-minute
giving
countdown,
you a
by the way,
big
Carlos.
snapshot.
Not
What
that
was
I'm
that?
not that I'm trying to rush you. You have a 3-minute countdown.
Okay. So there you go. That's what collections management is.
It's a great
All right.
product.
And there's the licensing cost. And we give a range for the implementation for this one because, again, this is really what you want to do with this product and how customized do you want it to be. It really depends on you. Okay, so let's jump into the last one. I have been working with Mekorma for about a decade in different ways. And over the last few years, I've noticed that they've really ramped up the products that they have, right? So I'm going to show you 2 of them, but very quickly, right? So in case some people don't know, what Mekorma is best known for is for being able to print MICR checks, meaning magnetic ink, highly secure with approvals and so on, right? So what I'm going to show you today, though, is, where is my, I'm starting to get too many windows, but something kind of new that they call the action board, right? Or generically, sometimes they call it the payment hub. But this is especially useful for those organizations out there that have maybe several checkbooks or maybe even several companies and several checkbooks. So the idea here is that they have a lot to manage. They have to maybe develop a lot of different check batches and so on. And they wish there was a way to make it a bit faster. So this one little window will let you go through the different steps and do it for all your checkbooks and even all your companies all at the same time. I know a few organizations that really would benefit from something like this, right? So you start with exactly the same sort of thing that you did before. You build your payment batches, you process your checks and your EFTs, and then you post all from one single window for many different checkbooks all at the same time. It literally will save you hours every single week if you do have a lot of checkbooks and a lot of companies out there. Right? You can even generate EFT files and generate safe pay files within this one little window. So let's make that the long story short, right? That it's really centralizing everything into one little window for a lot of different processes. It will literally save you hours every single week. Now, I'm throwing something in as a last minute bonus for Mekorma MICR. Oh, sorry, Mekorma Payment Hub. MICR is what it used to be called. So more recently, again, Mekorma is well known for the approval process, but recently they've started putting that process into your cell phone and your tablets, and I guess if you really wanted to, your computer. You don't have to be connected to the office environment or anything like that. So the idea is that as the person who is in charge of AP, maybe I'm preparing the check batch and then I request an approval. From there, now I can't show you my phone over my desktop, so I'm just going to show you this screenshot over here, or it's not it's a picture anyway. So I have my cell phone in front of me. I can look at all my check batches. I can approve whatever I want to, or if there's a vendor that I want to reject or decline, I can do that. and I might be doing that during the middle of a meeting, or when I'm, having lunch with someone. I just sneak in and then I click on whatever I need to. And now that person in the office waiting to print those checks doesn't have to wait for me. This is especially useful if you have multiple approvers and you're always having to coordinate them. If that's a headache, then this added feature in the Mekorma suite of products can be incredibly useful for you. Okay, there we go. So that was the last developer and the last set of products that we had. This is really like a core set of products, but if you already have Mekorma, I'll bet you there's lots of features that you now have that you didn't even know existed. Very different than it used to be 5 years ago.
Awesome. Yeah, and the implementation for this product is obviously a bit more involved. There's a lot to it. But again, we're just highlighting a few of the, the 5 most popular products, so to speak. Feel free to check out their websites and browse through other items that they make. And, there's so many products for GP, but these are kind of the big players in the space. So hopefully this was very helpful to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, last but not least, thank you guys. Really appreciate you coming. We're, as I said, running a GP365 demo next week if you'd like to tag along. And please send us some ideas. We've been doing these webinars for years now, and we'd love to hear from you guys on what topics you would like, including if you'd like us to cover any of these 5 products that we showcased today in greater detail. We're happy to do that. And I think going forward, based on the feedback, we'll be doing 1-hour sessions likely. We'll mix in some 30-minute where possible, but it's tough to cover much with only 30 minutes. So thank you, Carlos. Really appreciate it. And yeah, I don't think we have any questions.
Well, then
Yeah,
I'll
thanks.
just throw out that offer once again. We showed you a few products, but sometimes people like to think of it in the reverse. They say, I have I want to improve GP in some way. I do have a few people that, kind of tell me, whisper in my ear what I need. So if you're not sure how to do it, or if there's a product, or maybe even just a process, and you'd want to discuss it with us, then let us know. And that would be a great conversation for everyone. We like thinking out of the box, and we'll see how exactly it is that we're going to fulfill your needs.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your time. And again, let us know if you'd like any more details on the products, and we're happy to run a session. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Carlos, and have a good Thursday.